in a car outside of a gas station right now, so I can't talk for too long, or someone will surely call the police about a crazy motherfucker loitering at their shitty gas and go area. But I've got some wrestling thoughts on my mind, and I have roughly a half hour to spare. And I just happen to have brought my microphone with me. So what do you guys say we get amplified for a bit before AEW and NXT tonight? I want to talk about Sami Zayn getting his title taken from him and what comes next for Zayn and the IC title. I also want to talk Otis claiming he would cash in for the tag titles, not a heavyweight title. What the fuck is this guy talking about? I also want to talk CM Punk talking that insanity on last night's backstage episode on FS1. I know for a fact he used to be straight edge, but he's gots to be smoking that shit now. And I want to start off with Charlotte Flair because I foreshadowed what would happen next. And unfortunately, it is happening. Before we get into this, I need to cue up my warning cold open. Just so those who are easily offended and super emotional know not to get all caught up in their feelings. So I'll talk to you guys in about 9 seconds. Not only is Charlotte Flair set to run through the NXT women's division, but she's simultaneously running through the Raw women's roster too. If I'm Smackdown, I'm bracing for impact, because it's only a matter of time before the old man in Stamford, Connecticut says something stupid like, "You know what would be a good idea? If we have my golden child Charlotte on all 3 brands." Oh, we're gonna talk about it in this review. Well, those were my words just last Monday for the Raw review. I was half joking and half sincerely serious, because that is something that the old man in Stamford, Connecticut would absolutely do. And guess what? He's doing it. Charlotte Flair is being advertised for this week's Smackdown. And there's still some dipshit out there going, "BC, Charlotte isn't Vince's golden child. BC, Charlotte isn't being forced on us." Oh, really? Is there a reason she needed to end Asuka's undefeated streak so soon? Is there a reason she had to be inserted into Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch's business and match at WrestleMania? Is there a reason she's already nearly a 10-time champion in just a couple years? Is there a reason she had to take over the NXT women's roster, take the NXT title, and begin steamrolling the division? Is there a reason she is the only WWE talent that is now on all 3 brands? These are all rhetorical questions. Of course there's a reason. She is Vince's golden child. This isn't even shade to Charlotte. Believe me, she is a great athlete and a damn good wrestler. But the way she's being booked, you would have thought she was Vincent Kennedy McMahon's offspring. Sorry, not sorry. That is the definition of forced. The way she is being booked is unlike anything we've ever fucking seen. Yes, I will admit, she's a damn good wrestler, a damn solid athlete. She absolutely deserves, and I hate the word deserves in pro wrestling because fans think everybody deserves everything, but she absolutely deserves some title reigns, main events. But how the fuck does anybody justify what she is getting? You can't justify this. There was zero reason to put her into the Ronda Rousey-Becky Lynch match at Mania. Zero. This was unfinished business by Rousey and Lynch from Survivor Series when Nia Jax was a complete fucking buffoon and knocked Becky Lynch the fuck out. Or at least out on her feet.
concussion, possible broken fucking nose, whatever it was, Becky Lynch was taken out of Survivor Series. Charlotte didn't have any business in that match other than Vincent Kennedy McMahon fucking needed to have her in the spotlight. So one night on Raw, he literally just came out and said Charlotte is inserted into the match. And we were all like, what the fuck? There was no need to do that. There was no need to have Charlotte Flair end Asuka's fucking streak at WrestleMania a few years back. No need! If it catapulted Asuka, then okay, I'd be alright with it. It did shit for Asuka. She was placed into irrelevancy after that. There was no need to bring her to NXT to defeat Rhea Ripley, take the fucking championship, defeat Mia Yim, Candice LeRae, and who the fuck knows who else. Io Shirai couldn't even pick up a fucking pinfall or submission victory over. At least they didn't totally crush Io Shirai last Wednesday night. But she sure as hell didn't defeat Charlotte. So what is this doing for the NXT roster? Guys, these are all rhetorical questions. There was no need, other than Vince McMahon has placed Charlotte Flair on a pedestal that is mind-boggling to anybody with a brain in their dome piece. It's bullshit. Even if you're a Charlotte fan, how do you not take a step back and go, wow, well, BC's right, and everybody that's pissed off about what's going on with Charlotte, they're actually right. As much as I love Charlotte Flair, right? This is a Charlotte fan speaking. I would hope they would take a step back and think, as much as I love Charlotte Flair, I think it's time to give these women an absolute opportunity to see what they have. It doesn't have to be a merry-go-round, trust me. I hate when everybody gets a championship or everybody's being pushed. Trust me, I'm with you. But to have Becky and Ronda just do their business alone at WrestleMania, that wouldn't have been a bad thing. To not have Charlotte and NXT running through the NXT roster, that's not a bad thing. The NXT women should be proving themselves right now and fighting amongst one another. Not having somebody who's already established on the main roster coming over and destroying them. Raw does not need the NXT champion Charlotte to run through that brand as well. And then this Friday, now Smackdown will also have Charlotte running through their roster. What does this do for everybody else? I would love to know. You don't have a fucking answer, bro! It does shit! It pumps up Charlotte Flair's status tenfold. Everybody else? Goodbye! Vince McMahon doesn't give a fuck. Sasha Banks hasn't had a fucking singles televised victory in over 6 months. Give it a few weeks. Sasha will be losing a match to Charlotte Flair. Shit, the SmackDown Women's Champion will probably be losing to Charlotte Flair within the next few weeks. It's only a matter of fucking time. First up will probably be somebody like Naomi, right? Vince McMahon doesn't give a fuck about Naomi unless he has to place her on a fucking billboard to try to show everybody that they're culturally and racially diverse. See? We have a black woman on our poster. But when it comes to actually giving them the time of day or a championship or a real push, no thanks. But BC, Naomi had a title a couple of times. Yeah, and go back and look at the reign. Go back and look at how she lost it. Was she truly pushed? Was she truly relevant? No. And why? It wasn't because of somebody like Naomi's talent. It was because of somebody like Vince McMahon's lack of care. But when it comes to Charlotte Flair, he'll move mountains, he'll turn every fucking planet upside down to make sure Charlotte Flair is not just inserted into something, but is on that fucking pedestal like no motherfucker before her. This is somebody who, if you have listened to these reviews or shows or podcasts and these recordings from day one, I have always said Charlotte Flair is damn good. Charlotte Flair does deserve accolades. I've been one of Charlotte Flair's supporters, but at some point, you reach a breaking point. And when you reach that breaking point, you have to cut the bullshit and start spewing the truth. I could see if she was bringing in like crazy ratings, right? The numbers are super high when she's on. Bringing in all these asses to the arenas when crowds could actually go to an arena. I could see If all that was actually happening, then you know what? We don't have a leg to stand on then. But that's not happening. I just see more harm with the ladies and the company than good out of this. And he's so fucking stubborn that instead of hearing the fans' concerns, the concerns from the ladies in that company that we've heard, instead of hearing those concerns or even giving a fuck, what does he do? He triples down. He says, okay, we're going to have her on NXT, Raw, and we're going to put her on Smackdown too. I made that recording 8 days ago, half-heartedly joking, and the other half of me honestly was sincerely serious because it's something Vince would have done, and it's something that he actually did do. Charlotte will be there this Friday. Yay! Fucking Yahoo! Party time! Let's see who she destroys Friday night. Another topic I wanted to discuss is Sami Zayn and his IC title reign coming to an end. WWE has taken the title from Zayn. Of course, nobody is to blame here. With what is going on in the world, Sami can't compete. Doesn't want to compete, whatever the fucking case. Sami's not showing up. Totally understood. Nobody blames Sami Zayn for this. And from a business standpoint, WWE wants their championship to be on display on their weekly programming. Also totally understood. Can't blame WWE for that either. Although ironic at the same time, because even when the titles are on display weekly, they're still irrelevant and meaningless. So my point is, even if they kept the title on Sami Zayn, you could have done that and nobody would have even fucking noticed or even cared. That's how meaningless and irrelevant the titles have been for the past couple of years. But they decided they want the title on display. Maybe they know what's going on in the world. They know that it's all hands on deck and all championships on deck right now. But I have zero issue with the title coming off of Sami Zayn. And if done correctly, guys, Sami comes back better than ever and begins a badass storyline redemption back to the title. I mean, it speaks for itself. Don't worry about Sami. He'll be fine here as long as WWE picks this up where it got left off. That's something we can't really count on WWE to do. So in that aspect, then yes, you can worry. But let's see where it goes here, man. When Sami Zayn comes back, the obvious story is sitting in everybody's lap. Just have him begin the redemption story back to the championship. As far as what happens next with the IC strap, WWE has announced a tournament beginning Friday night for the vacant title. So there you go. For all of those people bitching about Asuka, quote unquote, being handed the title, now you get your precious tournament. Are you happy? And it makes sense that WWE didn't want two tournaments going on at once. Who can keep track of that shit? I'm sure I'm not the only one with a life going on. It's hard enough to keep track of who's the champion these days. There's so much fucking hot potato or irrelevancy that we have to remind ourselves several times a week, who are the fucking champions? Following a tournament bracket would just be a chore at this point. Two tournaments to follow is just punishment. I wouldn't want to follow a fucking Asuka or a women's tournament at the same time that we're trying to do an IC title tournament. Because again, most of us have lives. Even what's going on in the world and most people being quarantined, we don't want to keep track of 17 champions and two fucking tournaments. WWE knew they were taking the title off of fucking Sami Zayn. They didn't want two tournaments. So for everybody bitching and fucking complaining, there you go. There's your reasoning. And I don't blame them. I wouldn't want two tournaments. There's other things going on in our fucking lives. We can't keep track of pre-planned, predetermined tournaments. I can't stand tournaments, man. Pro wrestling fans take pro wrestling tournaments way too fucking serious. You realize the old man in Stanford just sits down and in 2 minutes he picks out somebody and there you go. We have to waste either 3 hours in one night or let this thing drag on a whole fucking month. A whole fucking month dedicated to a pre-planned, predetermined tournament. Like this is fucking Major League Baseball or the NFL or the NBA. Like we're really gonna find out who the best is. Who's a true champion. When in reality, a month earlier, some knuckleheads got together with the old man, and they're like, we're gonna choose this motherfucker! And for the next month, we all make pretend that this is a legit fucking tournament to see who the fucking best is. People take this shit so serious. I don't need to wait a fucking month. I don't need to go through a whole fucking tournament to decide who the fucking champion is. Get creative! I don't mind gauntlet matches! Why can't we do more of those for titles, guys? Why does everything have to be a tournament with you people? Every time a championship is vacant or stripped. Tournament! How is this not a tournament? This is anarchy! No, it's not anarchy. Get more creative than that. You honestly don't know? You can't pick a couple of individuals that are the most worthy to compete for the title? Everything has to be a fucking tournament? And if there is multiple people that are in the running for a championship, then have something like a gauntlet match. There's so much cool things you could do. Everything has to be a fucking tournament these days. And when it's not, everybody cries out. I was hearing shit like Asuka didn't deserve that championship Monday night. How the fuck do you figure? First of all, look at her body of work for years. Even with Vince McMahon's lack of care or creativity in her booking, pushing her into obscurity, she still showcased what she is capable of. And then on top of that, she's the last individual that I can think of the females that Sunday night defeated 5 other females. But she doesn't deserve the championship? By the way, there's another creative idea. If you have a vacant championship or a stripped title, put 6 individuals into another ladder match. That's fun. Don't give me a BC. We just saw the ladder match Sunday night. No, fuck, let's do it again. You think people are not going to tune in to see a championship dangling in the air and 6 individuals going for it? Just like we were intrigued with the Money in the Bank briefcase matches for years now. There's ways to get more creative than just doing a fucking tournament. That is my point. Everybody cried and bitched and moaned and complained. There you go. There's your reasoning. They knew they were doing a tournament with the men. Not every wrestling fan needs to or wants to see multiple tournaments that at the end of the day are fucking meaningless. It just takes up time that could be utilized for good storytelling, which this company is already lacking. So now, you guys want to talk lazy booking? Lazy booking is just making a tournament. Do you fucking realize that? Do you realize how easy it is for Vince McMahon to say, oh, we have a title up for grabs? Let's just do a tournament. This just fills up the next 4 to 6 shows at least, multiple matches a night. If he wants to do a tournament like that. This easily just fills up his show, and he doesn't have to get creative with any storytelling. He doesn't have to build anything else up. That's it. That's lazy booking. Let's do a tournament. And all he has to do is pick out a fucking winner. He can do that all in fucking 30 seconds. While trying to attempt a 3rd resurrection of the XFL. So anyway, that's the deal with Sami Zayn, guys. We're gonna get a tournament! Yay! I'm sure that makes a lot of you guys happy because I know pro wrestling fans love tournaments! Next, I want to discuss Otis. It was sent to me that Otis has stated that if he were to win the Money in the Bank briefcase, that he would use it to cash in on the tag team championships. Now, Otis is a zany, out there character, but I refuse to believe that he's that fucking stupid. There is no tag team division as it is. So the chances of Heavy Machinery getting tag title shots is about twice a month. Very high odds. There's just not enough tag teams, especially ones that are relevant. Just look at the Forgotten Sons. They just got to the main roster a few weeks ago, or a couple weeks before fucking Money in the Bank anyway. And they were already granted a title opportunity this past Sunday. The Forgotten Sons just got to the main roster, guys, and they were already competing for tag championships. The Iconics just came back this Monday. I shit you not, this is a real story. Iconics just came back Monday night. They have a title match this upcoming Monday. In 7 nights, within 7 nights, Iconics come back and could be world champions. Or for the tag team division anyway. This is what I'm telling you guys. And they, just like Miz and Morrison and the Lucha Summer College House birthday party, will all get 7 more title opportunities before 2020 is all said and done. I assure you. So I ask Otis and any other reasonable son bitch with a brain in their dome piece, why? Why would you completely waste this opportunity on something you are going to get anyway? Many times at that. That's like getting a free car from your parents and saying, no thanks, I'd rather pay for it. What the fuck? In Otis's defense last night on Backstage, it sounded like he wanted heavyweight gold. So maybe he changed his mind. It's possible. We're hoping that's the case. So that's my thoughts on Otis cashing in for tag team titles. That would be one of the dumbest things I've ever seen somebody do, including creative, and I use that word loosely with WWE, one of the dumbest things I could have ever fucking seen. At a time where tag teams get tag title opportunities so many fucking times, let's waste a briefcase opportunity on tag titles. Come on, man. And if Otis actually said that, I really hope he changed his mind. And or from what we heard last night, him sounding like on Backstage, it sounds like he's going heavyweight title. We'll see. Universal, heavyweight, whatever the fuck he chooses. Stay away from that tag fucking division with that briefcase. And I want to see him and Tucker as a tag team. Trust me, I like Heavy Machinery. I don't want to see them split up. But if I see him cash that in on a fucking tag title, man, I'm putting my dome piece through every cement wall in New York City, I assure you. Speaking of Backstage, by the way, CM Punk was on as a special guest again this week, a special guest analyst. Oh, he's special, all right, I'll tell you that. He continues to say some wild, outrageous, dumb as fuck things. I'm telling you, man, this dude legit said that he would have had Becky hand the title over on Monday night to Asuka, and then have Asuka punch Becky square in the mug. What the fuck is this guy talking about? You realize she is pregnant, right, Brooks? You do realize Becky Lynch is pregnant, right? There's no way Vince, nor should he for that matter, allow Becky to take any kind of a bump. Until, I don't know, she's no longer prego! Then she'll take a bump, Brooks. Is that cool? Not to mention, that is one of those pro wrestling moments where you give Becky her moment. She deserves at least that. The object is to drive emotion out of your audience, and that's what they did. Even Asuka, the heel, knew how big the moment was for both of them. A nonsensical punch to Becky would have killed the entire vibe. Especially with no fans in attendance. Nobody was in the crowd. So the punch would have just been awkward. Maybe if you could have somehow sold Vince or anybody with a brain in their dome piece that somebody who's pregnant should be taking a punch or a bump, if you can at that point convince anybody of your stupid idea, then you would still have to be done with a crowd. That's the only way something like that would have went over. That type of a reaction. Otherwise, it's just fucking awkward, and just enjoy the moment of somebody becoming champion and somebody becoming a fucking mother. Sometimes those type of emotions, those type of moments strike a chord much more than a fucking nonsensical punch. What is it gonna do, Brooks? Is that gonna bump up Asuka's heel heat? Oh yeah. Maybe for some fucking 10-year-olds out there, wow, Asuka's a dastardly heel. No, we're all gonna be like, what the fuck? That was definitely not needed, man. Let her have the fucking mother moment. She's saying goodbye to WWE. This dude has to realize there's times that more is needed, and there's times that sometimes less is more. On top of that, Brooks also said that Otis needs to ditch Mandy Rose. One of the best storylines in WWE for the past couple of months. Still a strong storyline, and Brooks wants it to be done. even called Mandy a dime a dozen. And I know where he wants to go with that, right? Because she's one of those blonde bombshells, one of those dime a dozen types. But to say that Mandy Rose isn't in a fucking different league, that she just isn't in line with all those other blondes, that's going a little bit too fucking far. That's a little bit of shade that is unwarranted. And I give Mandy Rose a lot of shit, but I also give her the respect that she is currently earning. To just call her a dime a dozen and say that she's not helping Otis at all or hasn't been a part of that storyline, drop her, because it's just not right. It's not true. This is supposed to be the voice of the voiceless, but you're spewing absolute nonsensical bullshit. Mandy and Otis right now have a strong storyline. Let's carry this into at least SummerSlam before that gets thrown out. And you could see Otis, if you guys caught backstage last night, Otis doesn't care for Phil, but he even called him Phil. Everybody else was calling him CM Punks. But CM Punks, yeah, probably multiple Punks in one. Otis does not care for Brooks. You could tell, and you could see the way that Phil Brooks noticed that right off the jump. So then Phil Brooks was kind of like standoffish to Otis as well. You could see the look in both of their faces. They just don't like one another. I was getting that vibe. Punks tried to blast Otis because he's a Green Bay Packers fan. He said, I love the colors of the Money in the Bank briefcase. Green Bay Packer colors. You know the Amplified man loves my Green Bay Packers. So Brooks, I'm sure he was trying to make a joke probably, but he took it to just a little bit too far. There was no laugh afterwards. He was just being the smug little prick that Brooks usually is. And poor Otis was just trying to have a real conversation. So Otis didn't go along with the joke. And right from there on, there was kind of like a disconnect. And in both their faces, you could tell they were just standoffish. I don't blame fucking Otis. Otis is probably like the Amplified man. We see through bullshit. This is supposed to be what CM Punk fans call the voice of the voiceless, and he's gonna blast WWE and put them in their place. And CM Punk, Phil Brooks, knows what needs to be done and creative for WWE. Please, if that's the best that CM Punk has creatively, Asuka should have punched Becky afterwards, and Mandy and Otis need to already be done. If that's the best that Brooks has, no thank you. At this point, it can fucking probably be right up there with Vince McMahon's creativity these days. I can do without Phil Brooks, just like I can do without Vincent Kennedy. I'm leaving this fucking gas station. I got about 12 people looking over here like, wow, there's a fucking lunatic exploding. Should we call the police? No need to bring any other people into danger right now. The danger zone is where the Amplified man is. And this zone is about to be a-moving. Much love to all you guys. As always, think, be, live, amplified. And there will be, at least currently right now, I am planning on there being an AEW NXT review for tomorrow. So be on the lookout. Podcast later in the week. We're going to talk Smackdown, the reaction and the review this weekend, where I'm sure we're going to be blowing up and getting amplified on Charlotte fucking Flair, taking over a third brand. Until then, the Amplified Man. Saying check you later.